What is up, everybody, and welcome to the Get Your Bell Rung Football Podcast. He is Kevin Reynolds. I am Bobby Wall, and we are here to talk all things football and hit you with some takes that might rattle you up a bit. On tonight's show, we are going to wrap up the week that was in the NFL. Number 7. We are halfway-ish through the season, Mr. Kevin Reynolds. I got some possible trade scenarios with the trade deadline quickly approaching. I want to run by you, see what you think, and obviously we'll have our starts of the week. But first, how you doing, my friend?
Doing well. We're at the very beginning here in southern Pennsylvania of an Indian summer, although we can't call it that. It's a Native American summer, but I don't think we can call it that either. I think we now have to call it Indigenous People Summer. Stupidity that the left has run us into.
Okay,
but nonetheless, my
you.
friend Andrea, foolish woman, but we love her. She told me that you can't have an Indian summer / Native American summer / Indigenous People summer until after the first frost of the year. I have not researched this. I'd like somebody to tell us. I don't know if that's true or not. What I do know is there was a mild frost in some places here last night. It got down in the upper 30s. So we can truly call this a / summer now. It's supposed to get 80 here on Saturday. I'm excited.
I'm very happy for you, Kevin. I may be just a little distracted. My Phillies, I'm rocking the hat. Hopefully this won't be the last time. I'm summoning Mr. Captain America, Steve Rogers, with my shirt here to hopefully give my Phillies the strength to win this Game 7 and make it to the World Series. We'll see, but it's playing right now, and I'm watching it while we do this, so this will be fun.
Why do we continue to pretend that you're an actual Phillies fan? I don't understand. You made it very clear the last 2 weeks that you don't know anything about baseball, yet you keep calling them your Phillies and acting as though you're truly invested in this team.
I could not be more invested than I have been the last 3 weeks. Prior to that,
I wish we had the soundboard
so
I could play the crickets.
Hey, man, it's got to matter. I said last week, it's got to matter, and these matter. So I'm in. I'm invested.
You are one of the singular most ridiculous people I've ever come across in my life, but we love you for it, and I wouldn't have you any other way.
Well,
but it's really, I wish I had my boots on because the shit's getting deep here.
Well, I'll tell you what, dude. Speaking of that, how about 3 teams this week? We thought last week was crazy with the Eagles losing and the Niners losing. 3 teams that were 5-1 went down. San Francisco again, 2 weeks in a row to a far inferior team. The Dolphins were 5-1, they lost, and the Detroit Lions lost to your Baltimore Ravens. And I know the Bills weren't 5-1, but guess what? They're 4-3 now. This is not where I anticipated we would be before the games kicked off.
I would have to say that obviously one of those 5-1 teams had to lose because either the Eagles or Dolphins were going to lose unless they tied.
Sure, but
right. I don't really think Detroit losing in Baltimore was a huge surprise, people. The surprise was the score, because you had a 5-2 team or a 4-2 team against a 5-1. So that wasn't too crazy. But the Niners losing to the freaking Vikings without JJ, they just didn't look good on offense or defense. It could have been worse. Minnesota should have scored more. They had 1st and goal from the 2 twice, and all they got out of was 2 field goals.
And think about how bad the Patriots have been, being able to come in and take down the Buffalo Bills.
Oof. Bills D did not look good.
Yeah, we have
offense put up points.
6 backup quarterbacks started this past week. 2 of them, Tyrod Taylor for the Giants and PJ Walker for the Browns, are playing better than the starters did. Can you imagine being Cleveland and paying Deshaun Watson, or being the New York Giants and paying Daniel Jones all of that money, only to have your backups come in and be playing better than them?
Yeah, frustrating.
And then one more thing I wanted to talk about was, basically halfway through the fantasy season, and there are 2 running backs sitting in the top 12 in scoring right now that were widely drafted in the top 2 rounds. Only 2. There are 7 wide receivers that were drafted in the top 2 rounds that are currently sitting in the top 12. Now, I find this interesting because for the last 3 years, all these pundits on the on YouTube and the radio and all this stuff, they're screaming that about all the volatility in the running back position. You need to wait, and draft running backs late. I have said for the last 3 seasons, they did not have the statistics to back that up. Right now, they do. We'll see how the season pans out. But right now, they finally have some backing to the gibberish they were spewing earlier. So it'll be interesting to see how this scoring affects next year. I mean, if we thought a lot of wide receivers were going early this year, if this is how the running back situation works out, good grief, there's going to be four running backs drafted in the first 2 rounds.
You know how I think it'll affect it?
0.
Zero. Not even a
I think
little
it
bit.
would.
It's just an outlier. You've had Eckler miss games. You had a lot of these guys with little injuries here and there. People are still not going to just pass up these big guys just because for 1 year there were some injuries. You might, but generally speaking, it's not that whole landscape won't look a lot different because if you can get luck into one of those big, especially receiving receivers or receiving running backs early, they're still going to go. You're not going to like Nick Chubb, who knew that his knee would explode. Eckler, who knew he would miss 4 games, things like that. So I do get at that, but injuries can happen to anyone, regardless of where they're drafted. But the
And
guys
that's
that
actually,
it's not like they're being misused. It's just
I
not
think
working
that's,
out.
I think that's going to give more ammo to the folks saying to draft wide receivers because the wide receiver, you're right, we don't know who's going to get injured, but the running back position is a tough one to play. And obviously everyone gets injured, but the way it looks right now, running backs are being hurt at a higher rate than the wide receivers.
It may be. We'll see. Like I said, there may be something to it this year, but I don't see it affecting anything. I can't imagine anybody next year thinking like, "Oh man, Austin Eckler sitting here at 7, but he hurt his calf last year, so I'm not drafting him." I just don't see it happening.
Crazier things have happened. I certainly am not going to fall into that trap. Give me all the Austin Eckler I can take.
That's what I'm saying. I'm taking the best player regardless. I can't predict the future. I can't predict if they're going to get hurt. I can't predict if all of a sudden the Giants can't get out of their own way. So, and it hurts Saquon. There's no way to know those things.
Oh, we can predict the Giants can't get out of their own way.
Well, we
That's
can now, but after last year, it looked like with Dable,
yeah.
they finally figured it out. And now here we are, and they can't do anything. But that's my point. I'm not going to pass up who I think is going to be a beast just because, gee, I wonder if their offense will suck this year. I can't do that. If I think they are going to suck, you're right. I'm dropping a guy that might be going number 6 overall. I might say to myself, well, I wouldn't even touch him until the beginning of the 2nd round or my league of record. I'm not spending $60 on that guy. I might spend 40 if for some reason he stops there, but I'm not just going to completely exclude people out of like CMC. He's always hurt, but not this year.
He's always good.
That's what I'm
He's
saying.
a
So
pleasure to
you
watch.
can only take the previous seasons, I don't know, abnormalities so far.
I'm with you. I'm just not sure that the fantasy community will be.
Well, here's the other thing. They still got 10 weeks of regular season. For all we know, Austin Eckler might go out and average 20 points a game the rest of the year and end up number 2 overall anyway. So, but we did talk before the show that we're at a point of the season. This is no longer the new season, and let's see what happens. We are at this point now. Things that are happening are trends, right? They're trends, and they might not
who they
get
are.
back. Jalen
Right.
Waddle might never be the same. Devontae Smith might never be the same. We're at trends now.
Yes, sir, we are. And we are also quickly approaching the trade deadline. It is 4 p.m. next Tuesday, which is Halloween. And I'm not sure if you've, really thought too in depth about this one, but I have 3 possible scenarios that intrigue me a little bit. And I'll go ahead and get my Eagles out of the way. I know they just signed Julio Jones. That means absolutely 0 to me. But the Denver Broncos have been trying for 2 years now to get rid of Jerry Jeudy. The Eagles have always lacked a wide receiver 3 in that offense. I think he would be a fantastic addition. I know we just gave up 5th and 6th round picks. They already made a deal for Byard, the safety from Tennessee Titans. Nice addition. He's a really good player, but I think his name precedes him a little bit. But I would love to see Jerry Jeudy in an Eagles uniform. Not so much for fantasy. That's more for real life football. What do you think?
I saw some buzz about that. I see it as pointless. He would be the what, fourth option after those two and Goddard.
Hmm.
What's the point?
Again,
Um,
real football, not fantasy for this one.
yes, he seems as though he is not the best teammate. He seems as though a guy who doesn't exactly put in a lot of effort. I saw a funny meme today about your boy Julio Jones. It was the caption was just Julio Jones 2023, and it was Shaq Diesel in his Celtics uniform when he signed for the Celtics for like 2 months,
Yes,
his final year.
that's it.
Could there be anything more true? He had one catch for 3 yards, I think. Um, that was pointless. The thing I don't get is sometimes I think the best thing to do at the trade line is nothing. You're the Eagles. You're the best team in the NFC. You can only do so much. Why continue to mortgage the future for a team that's already most likely going to win the NFC anyway? And I just don't see how he really improves things all that much. He's only going to be on the field for X number of plays as it is. I just don't see a point. Why would you bring in a guy it's known now that he's sort of a douchebag?
Uh, if you're going to put him in a locker room, just like the Jalen Carter draft pick, Philadelphia is a decent locker room to put him in.
No,
You have
I'll
lead
agree with that,
there.
but then you have time. They got him in the offseason, had time to acclimate. Now you're just taking this guy who seems like a
It's
total
true.
D bag and saying, "Here, we're bringing this guy in. Guess what? We're playing in 3 days. Accept him." And I don't see the point. It's Jerry Jeudy. What has he done? Nobody was bigger on him coming out of college. You know me. I kept telling you this is the guy, man, and he's amounted to nothing outside of maybe 2 or 3 big games.
Yeah, what a miss, man. What a miss. So much
Yeah,
talent.
he's got all the talent in the world, but it's pretty documented now. He puts in no effort.
I get another one for you. How about the King, Derrick Henry to
He's got to go somewhere.
The New Orleans Saints? They are, regardless of how we think any of the NFC South teams would fare in the playoffs, they are in a very winnable division. Derek Carr is 25th in passing touchdowns with 6. He is tied with Josh Dobbs and Desmond Ritter, and he is behind Sam Howell in passing touchdowns. He's 29th in yards per attempt. The passing game is not going to get it done. Alvin Kamara's always had a thunder to his lightning. Jamal Williams was supposed to be that guy. That dude is dust. He is awful. He doesn't look good. He's not performing well. And plus, the Saints have a solid defensive unit. The Titans are what they need to do is start their rebuild right now. Ryan Tannehill's out currently. They're going to have backup quarterbacks in. Why not, Kevin? Why
Is
not?
this something you've heard, or is this something you
No,
just
no. These are just
you thought
the
up in
Judy
one of your
thing I've
wet
heard.
dreams?
No, yeah. This is just for fun and something that, a conversation starter here and something that I think would personally be a nice fit here.
I can't believe you actually acknowledge that question. Did you even listen to it?
I tried not to.
Oh, I wish I had the crickets button again. Damn it.
Oh,
Or the boing, 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 boing.
talk to me. Henry to the Saints. What do you think?
I see that as a pointless trade. I mean, I get it, but I don't. I could think probably of other contenders that he would have more of an immediate role because Kamara's the man there. I get what you're saying, but we're talking about now like 2 all-pro guys on the same team. Overkill, maybe, depending on what the Saints want to give. There's probably some other teams. What I do believe, and I'm totally with you, is he should be traded.
Yes.
Tennessee, you're going nowhere. His
Nowhere.
stock has already dropped 25% from last year. You're already not getting what you could have got for him at this time last year. And by this time next year, when's his contract up? Is it this year or next year?
My gosh, who knows?
Yeah, I'd have to look.
I have no idea.
If it's over this year, definitely cut ties. Get anything you can for him. Get a 3rd-round pick for him at this point. You're going nowhere. You're talking about platooning quarterbacks this week.
Yes.
Who in the hell in the NFL platoons quarterbacks? It's not like platooning right fielders, depending on if you're up against a lefty or right-handed pitcher. This is that's one of the most asinine things I've ever heard. So stupid. I get like sometimes you put Taysom Hill in a quarterback just because you're probably going to call a running play. I get that, but they're literally talking about doing like 2 series at a time, platooning the guys.
It's odd.
What's even the basis on it? certain plays for certain guys. I don't even understand it. So they need to cut, get what they can for him now. But who? I don't know. I'm not saying the Saints would be awful. I just think there'd be other teams that would probably offer them more than what the Saints would, where he would go in there and be the man immediately.
All right. So how about my last one? And this is, again, we're doing this for funsies here. Justin Fields to the Washington Commanders. And if you hear me out here, I think this one makes a lot of sense. The Commanders have no starting caliber quarterback on the roster. They have a head coach that knows a thing or two about winning with a mobile quarterback. Their brand new ownership. Ownership is always looking to make a big splash. And Washington getting someone else's quarterback that they no longer want. It's so on brand for them. I would pay for this trade to happen.
What do you
Think
want
about it. They took
Washington to give up?
they would have to give up a first,
Okay, so they're so
at
awful.
least one.
I'm entirely on board with this because since Carolina had the one pick and they won't, the Bears will have it.
Mhm.
And then the Bears,
Have their own.
boy, why are they not losing on purpose so that they can get Williams and Harrison?
And
And
this helps that,
then
right?
you do this on top of get another number one, and the Skins are awful, whatever, Commanders, whatever they are this week.
Yeah.
You're talking about a team who potentially be another top 12. You could potentially have a team with not only the top 2 picks in the draft, or at least 2 of the top 3 or 4, but then also another top 10. You could have 3 number 1 picks in the first round.
It allows Chicago to tank without actually tanking, and it lets both fan bases be like, look, we're trying here. We're putting forth effort. And the Bears are going to get anyone they want to, and they're going to get Caleb Williams, I'm sure, Marvin Harrison, probably. I mean, whoever they want, especially if they have 3, top 10 picks.
I don't know if I've seen a single mock draft for next year that doesn't have those 2 going 1 and 2.
Yeah, I know. Did you see? I saw a meme with Caleb Williams. Like, I guess this last game they played, he had 1 touchdown pass and 3 picks,
Yeah.
and it was like Caleb Williams tanking himself so he doesn't have to play for a bad
Yeah, I
team.
did see that. I saw another one laughing at him. The dude just got lit up. It's totally sucked. Yet he's demanding. Apparently, his agent is saying he's demanding stake in the team, which apparently it turns out is against the NFL bylaws. Players are not allowed to own stake in their team.
Is it, obviously, yes, everyone knows that, but is that true? Did he really say that?
It was his agent that actually came out and said it.
That's insane. I find that hard
They're
to,
allowed to have sort of agents now because of
right,
the
NILs
whatever
and
it's
all that
called,
nonsense.
the NIL license stuff. So I don't know if he really did or not. Obviously, he and I were not boys. He did not text me or call me with that information. But if he did, stupid. But man, they could have the 1 and 2 picks and maybe another top 10 to 12 pick. Why not? Let him go there, play, have 4 good games a year, 6 crappy games, and hurt for the other 7. Let Washington deal with it instead of Chicago.
Yeah, and that's what they do. They signed Donovan McNabb after he left the Eagles.
Well, he was
Uh,
washed up at that point. Justin Fields is
hey,
he's at the
yeah,
beginning of his career.
yeah, but they wanted him, and they wanted your boy Prince Harry, and they signed all these guys that are just
Dude, that
washed
just
up. I
made
know,
my heart
I
warm.
know. You're
Thank you for
welcome.
that. That was
Honestly,
you
it hurt me
are
to say it, but it saved
I
me the
salute you.
irritation. All right, let's break down some of these games. You good? The
I'm beside myself. I can't even think right now because you finally acknowledged it. And now I'd like to talk about Marco a little bit. Apparently, they might be bringing
Thursday
back some
night.
Scrubs spinoff for her. I mean, I'm just beside myself with joy.
Okay. Well, let's turn that on to the Jaguars beating the Saints 31-24. This game, the actual game ended up being not bad to watch, not as bad as most Thursday night games are, and most games that have the Saints and Jaguars in them.
Well, that's
Travis
because we
Etienne,
both had
yeah,
Taysom Hill. We
I know.
didn't. We wouldn't have given 2 craps about this game.
Well, it's kind of true, but ETN did great. He scored twice, and Christian Kirk scored for you. Trevor Lawrence, it was interesting going into the game. It's like, is he going to play? And then all of a sudden, his knees can't be that bad. He takes off for 59
Yeah,
rushing
what?
yards. I don't know. Alvin Kamara, this is all right. So hold on, let me back up. Derek Carr, not good. We mentioned that already. Alvin Kamara, He is the workhorse back, 17 carries. He's also the workhorse wide receiver with 12 catches. I got 91 yards through the air at 100 and what, like 53 total yards, I think. And then you and I, we both talked about starting Taysom Hill in the once and done. We both ended up doing it, which is against our religion. We hate Taysom Hill. He always screws us, and we hate Thursday players. But it actually panned out for us because he had a rushing touchdown. He had a couple catches. And Michael Thomas finally found the end zone, which was nice.
Taysom Hill should have had another touchdown at the end.
Yeah.
Carr was in trouble. He threw a ball because he sort of panicked. Taysom Hill's literally standing there all by himself in the end zone, and he overshot him by like 5 yards over his head. But he literally was standing there by himself for just a pitch and catch touchdown.
He tried for it, but it was way too high.
Yeah, that'd have been nice. But this is another thing, like with the Henry going there. Look how often Kamara's on the field. I mean, are you really going to take him off, or are you only going to going to turn him into a third down back? I don't.
It's going to be exactly like it was with him and Mark Ingram.
But that was different. Mark Ingram was never a star, so he didn't mind being the second fiddle and just going in for goal line and short yard stuff to indicate series. You really think Derrick Henry's only going to want to be on the field for 17 snaps a game?
So
it's
you're
just
not
hard
worried
for me to imagine that.
You're not worried about the football aspect. You're worried about the locker room part of it.
Yeah, I can't imagine these, like I said, two all-pro guys that are still both solidly into their careers, except either one of them accepting just not being on the field anymore. I think it'd be a hard pill to swallow.
Their division isn't going to be difficult to win, and winning cures everything.
I guess I don't really expect them to win a lot of games. They might win this division at 8-9.
Right. Well, hey, let's get them to the playoffs. What do you want in the playoffs? You want defense and a run game.
I'm saying I don't know. It's just hard to imagine. That's all.
I gotcha. And I want to get this game out of the way because I know you're a little fired up about it. But the Falcons beat the Buccaneers 16-13 in what was an absolute snooze fest. Nobody did anything for you from the Falcons. And Mike Evans, he did Mike Evans things for you, so that was good. But outside of that, I don't think you're very happy with the production of anyone, and you're definitely not happy with the situation that panned out with Bijan Robinson. So go ahead, Kevin, and give your rant.
So you know how jacked up I was, pissed off. This is some of the biggest bullshit ever.
Okay, all right, let's come on.
You know how I get fired up, and my tongue gets a little loose when I get fired up.
It does.
So I love that the NFL is now investigating the Falcons and hopefully find the crap out of them, all kinds of money, and take some draft picks. This does not work, and I know they don't care about fantasy, but it doesn't work because the NFL is steeped now in the gambling business. To know that Bijan would maybe not even dress, and then when he did, you knew that he would have one carry for 3 yards, because the ruling on things like this isn't just that they won't play. If you even expect that a person won't have their normal role, they have to be listed on the report. So these idiot Falcons actually say after the game, yeah, he started having these bad headaches last night. They got worse today. So we knew he probably wasn't going to play. Said nothing to anybody. Me with my share of Bijan in my league of record. Another guy consult his team. We had Bijan in, could have easily taken him out and put in Jahmyr Gibbs. But we didn't because we thought he'd play. Then he has one carry for 3 yards, and we're not even sure why. Why did you even bother putting him in for one meaningless play in the fourth quarter?
Maybe to try to get by the whole he's not going to play deal.
Well, the whole thing, they violated numerous rules because of this. That's not going to cut it. And the NFL's already investigating, and I hope they hammer them because it's BS. A lot of people, like we discussed with this gambling, if the whole world knew Bijan wasn't playing, it would have changed the spread by probably at least a point, maybe a point and a half. I don't like it. I hate it for fantasy. I don't really like it for the NFL. It's a load of crap. They did this wrong and they know it. It reminds me of some of my friends, like your Whiteys of the world, who will go out of their way to try to skirt every rule, find a loophole in every rule, because winning is more important than doing what you're supposed to be doing. And I hope they don't get away with it because it's a bunch of crap. And I think you're right. I think they played in one play simply so they would at least have some leg to stand on. Oh, what do you mean? Like, obviously, something wasn't right. And then you say he wasn't, and he says he wasn't. This was everything about it was bullcrap.
Moving on. Hope you feel better, buddy.
I don't feel good about it. I'm terribly angered.
Couldn't tell. The Chicago Bears beat the Raiders 30-12. I have no idea what the Raiders are doing. I have no idea how they've won 3 games. I don't know why Devontae Adams doesn't get 100 targets a game. But unless you start Jacoby Myers, who found the end zone, once again, we have another team where no one was worth starting. On the Bears side, however, you are pretty happy if you started Deonta Foreman, 89 yards on the ground, 2 touchdowns,
Oh, here we
and
go. Patting
another
yourself on
touchdown
the
through the
back. Here we
air.
go.
Kevin, all I'm doing is saying some stats, man. Is
No, you're patting yourself on
Foreman
the back.
was a
Well
great
done,
start.
sir.
Hypothetically, if you were in a once and done league and you started Deonta Foreman, you may have gotten yourself 30 couple points. It would have been a great play. That's all I'm saying.
All because of some shady actions the week before.
Oh man.
And it was
I'll tell you
surprising
what.
me when I sent you that congratulatory text that it took you like 2 minutes to catch on to my sarcasm.
Rarely does
I felt
a
dirty.
last minute
I felt dirty. I felt like I needed to take a shower after that. Talk to some people.
Well, we mentioned how I pulled out Deonta Foreman at the last second on Sunday, put in Chuba Hubbard. And not only did it
It
work
was
out last week.
12:58:43.
Did you look?
Oh, I looked.
I told you, man. It was right
Because
there.
I was checking to see if you were pulling even more of a fast
Oh,
one than
man.
you did.
Oh, man. And it allowed me, more importantly, it allowed me to start Deonta Foreman this week. So, hey, I'm happy about that.
Yeah, we're so
The
proud of your shenanigans.
Thank you. I
You're
appreciate
shifty.
it. He's
You're like
he's
Raymond
big.
Reddington. You're shifty.
Well, me. I was going to say Foreman, man. If you're within the 5 yard line, you just give him the ball, and he's going to get in the end zone in 2 or 3 carries.
Yeah, he's sharp. I'll give it to him.
Yep.
Great game. And our boy
In a
Tyson Badgett, Shepherd University, gets his first NFL win. He looked
Yep, sure
good.
does. Yeah, I mean it's
Not
he's only
great, but he looked good. Didn't do anything to
right.
ruin the game.
That's correct. Right. It's when you throw the ball 2.5 yards down the field, you're not
A
going to look
little
too
more.
bad.
He had some nice completions. And Devontae Adams did have 12 targets. They just
Not
weren't that
enough.
good at targets because Brian Hoyer and Aiden O'Connell were throwing to him.
Come on, Jimmy G. Come on back for me.
Isn't it
All
crazy
right.
that we're in a world where any Raiders fan or any Adams owners or Myers owners are praying that Jimmy G, of all people, comes back to life?
Yeah, let's do it.
Why is
I'm
he
safe.
such a wimp? Is it because he's so handsome?
Well, you get everyone you give in some places, you get taken in others, and he's
Well, we're
given
handsome
it
like that, and we don't get hurt all the time.
got an ACL. You're hurt constantly.
That was forever ago. I had my
Yeah.
ACL surgery in like 2005. It's held up for 18 years.
Yeah,
I'm spry.
Oh yeah. 2 weeks ago we didn't do a show because you were sick.
I was sick, but that's not an injury. I'm still terribly spry.
No.
Why is that funny?
I don't know, Kevin. The Browns beat the Colts 39-38. I was laughing at the score. What a high scoring game. No
You
one saw
thought
this.
that would be the highest scoring. I played the Cleveland defense. Luckily, they got me a lucky touchdown because giving up all those points got me -4.
Yeah, insane. Jerome Ford, nice game for you there because he had a nice big long run and scored on it. Kareem Hunt with 2 touchdowns. I feel like I only saw one. I don't even remember the second one. But Ford got hurt.
Ford was out because of the ankle.
Yeah, Ford got hurt. So you're going to want to go out. You're going to get yourself some Kareem Hunt if for some reason he's available. If not, get yourself some Pierre Strong because he got a lot of work after Jerome Ford went down. And before I move on to the Colts, and I know we don't normally talk defensive players, but you want to talk about a guy taking over a game. Myles Garrett, 9 tackles, 2 sacks. I think it was 2 forced fumbles. He blocked a kick. The dude's 300 pounds, and if you didn't see his block kick, you need to watch it. He hurdles the center
he's a
right on the
freak.
snap. It's insane.
It's funny. He did it because if you do that and you touch their player, it's a personal foul, 15 yards. He skies completely over the center to do it because if you touch them at all, it's leverage. It's against the rules. It's a personal foul. So he actually not only did it, but had the balls to do it and went completely over them and just. He reminds me of old school Bruce Smith. The way his body's built, how dominant he is, and all the different things.
More athletic, though. He's more athletic than Bruce Smith.
Maybe, but he still reminds me of him.
And then the Colts Jonathan Taylor, he split carries with Zach Moss. They each had 18. They're really trying to run the ball here. But he far outperformed Moss, got the touchdown. It should be his backfield now. He also had a couple catches. Josh Downs, man, Gardner Minshew loves Josh Downs. 5 catches, 125 yards, and a score. Michael Pittman also scored on a broken play.
Yeah, only 2
What,
catches.
what was like 75 yards for the
Yeah.
score, I think. So
How about
man,
your
if
boy
I could get Josh
Stash?
Downs, if, yeah, he's
33 points. What, we're going to pretend it didn't happen?
yes, but it's not going to happen again.
Well,
He
I don't know. He did it against what was going into this game arguably considered the best defense in the league.
Yeah, but that was also completely, I mean, no one. So you started the Browns defense, as did I in a league, because we thought they were going to eat. And I don't know. These anomalies happen from
They
time to
do.
time.
I don't think he's going to
Uh,
put up 33 points every week, but he played well.
I'm not sure he's going to hit 20. Although they for some reason let him. It's sort of like the Jets offense last year when Zach Wilson wasn't playing. Mike White threw the ball 50 times a game. It's like
Why have you
Anthony Richardson's not playing and Gardner Minshew throws the ball 50 times a game.
What's happened? Why have you turned on the Stash? You've always loved him, adored him, built him up. Now all of a sudden, what's
I
happened?
like
Did he
him.
run over
I
your
like him.
dog?
No, I like him as a human. As a quarterback, we'll see. He turns the ball over a lot, and
He
give
does
me
do
give me
that.
another week of it. I tell you what, if he scores at least 20 fantasy points this coming week, I'll get back on board with the Stash. How's that sound?
I don't even know who they play. I forget.
I knew that's what you're doing. Looking it up.
I have to. It's hold on here. Let's see now here. They play the Saints at Indy.
Yes, if he puts up 20 points against the Saints, I'll get on him. I'll get back on the Stash wagon.
Saints haven't been that spectacular.
No, the defense is good.
It's
They're like
good, but it hasn't been great, but good.
sure, yep. Um, Two teams that haven't been that good. The New York Giants beat the Washington Commanders 14-7. This again, a lot of snooze fest in
Yeah. It's not this isn't even
fantasy this week.
football. I'm
Yeah,
embarrassed to talk about this game.
Brian Robinson scored a touchdown and didn't get double-digit fantasy points. So I
Awful.
think that tells you all you need to know. Although McLaurin did go 6 for 90, so that was a good game for him. Tyrod Taylor, we already mentioned. You obviously didn't start him, but in my opinion, outplaying Daniel Jones. And
Yeah.
Saquon got a ton of work again, which is great, and he scored. And Waller finally came out of the closet and decided he'd give you some
Well, it's not him. It's
good
that
fantasy
Taylor actually
production.
throws to him. Danny Dimes
Right.
just won't throw to him. I don't understand why. He averages like 3 or 4 targets a game with Danny
Yeah.
Dimes. He's your best
Uh,
receiver on your team. Why
right.
would you not throw to him?
I can't answer that for you, but I'm glad. Hopefully Taylor does it again. Maybe Jones will be out one more game, and Taylor can do that for you
He's
again.
good for the Giants, that's for sure.
Yeah, a game that you loved. Your Ravens absolutely demolished the Lions. Nice home game win. And Jahmyr Gibbs, he did it for you. He was the main back. We knew that was going to happen. Somehow, 11 carries, 68 yards, and a score. The Ravens have a great defense. And he also had 9 catches for 58 yards. Amon-Ra St. Brown, buddy, 13 for 102. This guy, man, he's double-digit catches, I feel like, almost every single week. And Sam Laporta even had a decent game.
Do you remember 2 summers ago when I was scoffed at?
Oh my gosh, for who and for what?
Amon Ra, I put him in my top 5 receivers and I was scoffed.
Yeah.
There was a
Yeah.
significant scoffing.
Um, I don't think it was a scoff. I
Oh, there was
liked him.
scoffing.
I didn't like him as much as you.
Meanwhile, your boy Mike Williams spends 50% of his waking hours in hospitals.
Yeah, poor guy. Talk about
I know. I feel bad for that because I
injury
root for
prone.
him. He's such athletically gifted, but
Really, really is. Your boy Lamar Jackson stole the show, though.
he sure
350 yards
did.
passing, 4 touchdowns, 3 through the air, 1 on the ground. And finally, the Gus Bus did something. I've had to put him in a flex spot in a couple leagues because injuries. And 64 on the ground with a score. He also had an 80
Well, that's the
yard
thing. That was it.
reception.
We talk about anomaly.
Yes.
8.5
Yes.
of his points were on one play. We had
But yeah, but still, Even with the 64 yards on the ground and the touchdown, like that's a great day for
Oh
Gus. I
yeah.
will take that.
Yeah, he still would have
It was,
had like 12 points, 12 and a half points.
yep. And then Mark Andrews got you 2 touchdowns through the air. So I'm so
Which I
glad that,
liked, finally.
yeah, I'm so glad he's finally, I feel like, because what was he? He was hurt for a week and then didn't perform. And it was like, oh man, here we go. But he's back.
Well, it
So I
seems
love
like
that.
they're finally decided to run an offense that makes sense. I don't know what took them 7 weeks to make that decision, but they finally decided to go with a game plan that actually made sense to those of us watching. Like, oh yeah, that's cool. I actually, for once, couldn't just go ahead and dictate every play before it happened. It
Yeah.
was nice to see something fresh. Will they do it
Although
again? I don't know.
although Lamar did run it when you guys were on the 5, and that's how he got his
I
rushing
know, and
touchdown.
I don't really love that, but I don't mind that. He's arguably in any game the most gifted athlete, the most gifted player on the field. So I can understand
Physical.
that. It's everything else that goes with it. The whole thing, like you and I calling their plays as we're talking to each other on the phone. Like, oh, we know what's happening here. Not only do we know the play, we know how many yards it's going to get. I didn't
Yes.
feel that watching this game. I didn't feel that at all. I felt if anything, they took their foot off the gas. This is professional courtesy.
Nice change of pace.
It was. It was.
Uh,
It was great. So
and
it
if you're a
continues.
Patriots fan, nice change of pace for you as well, taking down the division rival Bills 29-25. I don't know what I'm more surprised about, the Patriots beating the Bills or the fact that they were actually able to almost score 30 points. And Josh Allen's doing this weird thing where it's like a Justin Fields last year where he's not a good real quarterback, but he's still a great fantasy quarterback. Um,
I don't
but it's
know.
happening.
I mean, they threw
Allen
up
scored.
25
Yeah.
points.
Well, I know, but he's 27 of 41. He had a pick, and he's not passing the eye test right now. But look, as far as fantasy goes, you'll definitely take it. James Cook, he did well running and receiving. Stephon Diggs is his, he is who he is.
Yeah.
The biggest takeaway for the Bills from this one is that Dawson Knox is out. He had surgery on his wrist, I believe it was. So Dalton Kincaid, rookie tight end, he should be getting a lot more run. So go out and add him. He is probably maybe on your free agent or on your waiver wire. So grab him. Mac Jones had probably his best game of the year. Ramondre Stevenson, he did his whole back and forth with Zeke again. Zeke is getting a lot of the goal line work, which is not great. But Ramondre is making up for it. He got another 6 catches this week. So we said that receiving work is important to him. Do you care about Kendrick Bourne?
No.
Well, we said no last week, and here we are, 6 for 63 and a score again.
All that stuff, he still only had 13 points.
I know,
I mean,
I know,
that's
but
like his ceiling. You
you don't
score,
hate
you
it enough.
still only
Yeah,
get 13.
that's a good point. That's a good point.
It's not like I wouldn't like 13 points, but he's a guy that I'm never going to recommend to anybody to play Kendrick Bourne because next week he might have 2 catches for 7 yards.
Yeah, you're
You
right.
can't trust Belichick with anything.
What a jerk.
He is fantasy wise. What a
Oh,
jackass.
big time.
But
I think
he's owned the Bills for 20 years. So does it really come as a surprise? The real surprise was that they had a big lead, they blew it, and then Mac Jones actually kept his composure and drove down the field and won the game. That was really the only surprise to me.
I'm a little happy for him. I'll be honest. What I'm not happy about is the biggest letdown of the week. I think in terms of fantasy was the Seahawks and Cardinals game because this had fantasy production written all over it, and it didn't happen. Josh Dobbs stole the rushing touchdown. If you started DeMercado, which is interesting because Amari DeMercado was big waiver wire pickup last week, and he didn't hardly play at all. It's Keontae Ingram this week. Keontae Ingram didn't get a carry. He
Not a
didn't. I'm
single
not sure he got a
touch.
snap. I don't know that he had a snap. Hollywood Brown, everybody was a letdown. But again, tight end injuries. Zach Ertz put on IR today. So Trey McBride could be a priority pickup for you if you are struggling at the tight end position.
Just to piggyback on you real quick. Keontae Ingram this week, 0% snap share. He did not
There you
play
go.
one down.
Uh,
He dressed, but did not play one down.
the NFL is weird. Geno let you down. Kenneth Walker got you 100 yards on the ground, which is awesome. No touchdown for him, though. And JSN scored. So did
He
Jake
did.
Bobo, but not Tyler Lockett, who I thought was going to be a fantastic. Sometimes the process is right. Like starting in the once and done. I put Lockett in there. The team was right. The game was right. The position was right. Player was wrong. DK is out. Let's go, Tyler Lockett. You're due for a nice big game here. Nope. Jackson Smith and Jigba and Jake Bobo got touchdowns for you.
This
What a
seems to happen a lot with Lockett. When DK's been out anytime last year, he does nothing. Is it because he's not a true number one, and when he has to be the number one and gets occasionally double teamed or running DK's routes, he just can't produce?
I don't think they even have him run DK's routes. He's not that. I mean, they're not throwing him
No,
jump
no,
ball.
yeah, it's not. It's totally different. But maybe that's just it. That when he's the number one guy, that the other team decides we're going to lock down on him. He can't. He can't do what DK can do. DK can still play through that. Though he hasn't exactly been stellar this year himself.
Tell you what, Jake Bobo, I know he's a backup and he's probably not going to play much after this because DK is coming back, but his touchdown catch was impressive.
Here's
You
a
haven't seen.
question. I saw somebody post today online. If DK's out again this week, and you can only play one of those two dudes, which one are you playing?
I'm going Lockett. I'm going.
No, not Lockett, Bobo or JSN.
Man, I got to stick
It's
with the
tough,
talent
right?
of JSN. For me personally, I got to stick with the talent of JSN.
I would too,
It
but the
was the number
talent
one
doesn't always
receiver.
equal.
You know,
I mean,
right? I mean, they
it's
had
a
the same.
valid question.
In that, gosh,
I'm
that
with you
sounds.
though. I'd stick with JSN. I'm actually considering playing him this week
Me too. Me too. The Steelers don't look now,
until
but
12:58:43, and you roll him out for somebody else. Play him next week when he has
uh,
320 yards and 6
I'm
touchdowns.
not gonna get that lucky again. Um, the Steelers put up some points, man. Najee Harris scored. Jalen Warren scored. George Pickens didn't score, but he got you 100 yards through the air. And Deontay Johnson, first game back from IR, 5 for 79.
Yeah.
I have him in a couple spots, so I was very happy to see that. He had a really nice one of his catches was really nice yards after the catch and everything. The Rams, Darrell Henderson came in off the street, 18 carries and a score. He's probably the guy to have, although Royce Freeman also had 12 carries. So we'll see how that pans out. And the Puka Nakua, baby, he had an off week last week, and everyone was
Man,
thinking, man, Cooper Cup, he's back, so Puka's out. No, sir. 8 for 154, and Cooper Cup only 2 for 29. Ooh,
out targeted
dirty,
him 12-7 too. That to me, that's the
dirty.
bigger. That's the I don't know. I don't even know what to say about that. That blows my mind. Maybe it's a snap count thing. I haven't looked at cups. I can look at that real quick. Keep talking. I'll look at that real quick.
Uh, I think it's just going to be one of those things where maybe a Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, when T. Higgins is actually healthy, or last year, Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle.
Yeah,
One,
because it's not a
two,
snap
three
count thing.
weeks. Yeah, two,
Cooper,
3 weeks it'll be Cup. Every now and then it'll be Puka.
yeah, because
Puka's
Cooper
not
was
going
in
anywhere, man.
on all 68 of their offensive plays. Puka was only in for 63 of them.
I have Puka and Cooper in a league, and I'm starting them both fairly confidently.
Oh yeah, it's like
Every
old school's
yeah,
greatest show on turf.
yeah. Isaac
Some of these
Bruce,
teams, yeah, you play Isaac Bruce and Torrey
Azahir
Holt every
Hakeem.
week. Oh, there's
Yeah.
50 points.
Yeah. Another big letdown. Justin Herbert and his Chargers. The score was what? 24-17, I think, at halftime. And they ended 31-17. That was only like one score, I think,
I
after the half.
Yeah, it was
Maybe
weird.
two. Yeah, it was just a
Quickly
touchdown in
before
the
I
fourth
forget,
quarter.
with Herbert, sorry to interrupt you there,
Oh,
although I'm
good.
not really. Um, Justin Herbert, I saw Saturday that since he's come into the league, he has the most losses of any starter in the league. Since he was drafted in Can League, he has lost as more games as any other starter. Because the thing of all the other teams below them, that they're various different
Changing
starters and
quarterbacks and
it's
injuries.
musical
It's just
quarterbacks. He's lost
hmm,
the most games in the league since he became a starter.
that is an
I didn't
interesting.
research it to corroborate. Maybe it's wrong, but
Gotcha.
it seemed whatever source I saw from was a source that doesn't just throw out random false stats. But it makes sense because most quarterbacks, when they lose a lot, they don't get to keep playing.
Right, right. Another takeaway from this game is Austin Eckler, not good, but Josh Palmer did look good. 5 for 133. Another guy I threw out there in the once and
He
done
did
this week.
well done. The only thing missing was a touchdown.
Yeah, I know. Everett got that, but you can't trust Gerald Everett because he is way more missed than he is hit. And then the Chiefs, I don't, well, I don't know what to tell you. You start Patrick Mahomes, you start Travis Kelce, and Rashee Rice though, man, he's coming around. He's really becoming the leading receiver for the Chiefs.
Guy in my league of record has Mahomes and Kelsey.
Oh,
He
jeez.
had the high player of the week and highest team of the week, but he has a losing record on the year because he spent so much money on those two. The rest
Yeah.
of his team is literal trash. So he actually has a losing record. But yes, Rashee Rice, I would have at the beginning of the year, I would have never thought any of this.
Yeah, he's not going to be doing the waiver wire, but you should definitely check.
It's so
The
weird.
Yeah, you know what? How bad are the Packers? I love how they started out the season, and everyone was like, Jordan Love, he's the real deal, blah blah. And me and you were like, no, it can't be.
Yeah.
I don't care if he was he was QB what 4 after the first couple weeks. It's like
Yeah, he
no,
looked
it's
good
going to come crashing down, and sure enough, he absolutely did.
against
The
Denver, the
the
worst defense in the league.
I yes, you talk about embarrassing. My gosh. But I tell you what, our boy Javonte Williams looked very good.
Yes, he's finally
Um,
coming around.
I know, I know. I really hope they start feeding the ball. Cortland Sutton got you a good game with a score. The only passing touchdown, well, I mean, the only touchdown for the offense for Denver. And Jerry Judy, 5 for 64, give him a little more work. Make
Got
him
all
look
his
a little better
targets.
for some suitors. I
So
like
did
that.
I hear wrong or right? Christian Watson's injured again?
Oh, I don't know if so, I may have missed that.
I'm pretty sure something has happened.
Yes, he suffered a knee injury.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm glad you mentioned that. That's something I missed.
It sucks, dude, because you and I
No.
have we adored this dude coming out of college, and boy, has he flashed some
Ugh.
skill, but he can't stay on the freak field. What he had like a 5-6 game stretch last year. He was the overall #1 receiver,
Dud.
scoring 2 touchdowns a game week after week, and he
Dud.
can't stay on the field.
Oh, shame,
Sucks
man.
because his skill set is sick.
So many guys, man. So many guys
I
can't
know,
stay
dude.
healthy.
I don't know. Are we jinxing these guys that other people aren't
Yes.
big on coming out of college? We're huge on
Yes.
them. They end up flashing and showing everybody that we're geniuses, but then they can't stay on the field and they make us look like damn fools.
100% our fault.
We
100%.
need to go back 2 years and just say, you know what, this guy sucks. Nobody should draft him.
Yeah.
Trash. And he'd
Caleb
already,
Farley,
in
man.
a year and a half, he'd already have a Hall of Fame career.
I single-handedly ruined Caleb Farley's life. His house caught on fire. I mean, that's how bad it got.
What a freaking mess.
Oh,
Gosh
yeah.
darn it. Consarn it.
Yeah, man. And you're all of you, those teams out there that have been riding their Dolphins, man, except for Tyreek Hill. You came crashing back down to earth. Tua, terrible game. Mostert, nothing. And Waddle, not a very good game either.
Thanks.
Yeah, as far as the Eagles go, obviously Jalen Hurts, he does his thing. Unfortunately for Swift owners, Kenneth Gainwell got the rushing touchdown, but AJ Brown is crushing it. He's got 5 straight games, I think, with at least 125 receiving
Only
yards.
the third receiver I think in history.
Yeah, yep. Dallas Goddard scored again. Thank God he came around. But you were mentioning, I can't even remember if it was definitely before the show, maybe even during the show, um, about Devonta Smith. Been a big letdown so far.
I played him and Waddle in the once and done this week, thinking this game's gonna have 70 some points, and there's no way they can't blow up. They did nothing. Waddle missed half the game. But dude, look at Devonta Smith's numbers. Week 1, 14, week 2, 24. Since then, 4, 11, 1, 7, 7.
I know.
Doing
It's
nothing.
like
And it's not like he's not getting targets.
him and Goddard are switching places in the
Right. Well,
pecking.
here we are. We're talking about a guy you say, oh, they'll come out of it. Will they? we're in week 7. This is now a trend. This isn't accidental. This isn't one bad week. This isn't a sprained ankle. This is a guy who was a top 10 guy last year who now just sucks.
You want to hear something interesting?
Not really, but I guess I'll listen.
Who do you think was the leading tackler for the Eagles on Sunday?
Fletcher Cox. I mean, I
Oh,
have no idea.
Terrell Edmonds, the guy they just traded to the Tennessee Titans.
Oh, well, yeah, but that's
I know. It's
I
just
understand why they did. They
oh yeah.
really need secondary help.
Yeah, especially with Reed Blankenship was out this past week. I thought that was going to be a bigger deal. Having one of your starting safeties out with those receivers, I thought that was going to be a much bigger
I
deal.
would never say this. Like, even with Miami losing, I don't think I'd ever say what I'm about to say. Mike McDaniel was thoroughly outcoached.
He looked it
That's
on the
not something
sidelines
you
too.
think about him.
Yeah, he
Your boy
looked it. He looked.
Sirianni's sharp, but I don't consider him Mike McDaniel. And he blew him out of the water. This wasn't just a random play here and there. He was thoroughly outcoached.
It happens though. Everyone's allowed to, and we'll see. We'll see how Mike McDaniel rebounds from this.
Did Hurts's pick six remind you of a wonderful moment in the Super Bowl last year when he had a fumble six?
You're about to do this
Crickets,
show
crickets.
solo. Yeah, get your bell wrong with Kevin.
I'm just asking. I'm sure you saw it. Did you immediately like go back to that PTSD and like started shaking, had this pit in your stomach,
No, I didn't, but gosh, that's
thinking to yourself, boy, I wish Kevin had the crickets button right now.
yeah, I could use it. Well, people who needs the cricket button is
You
the
can't even speak now.
I know
You're walking back to sit in that
Yeah,
hotel bar watching the game,
I know.
and the total silence of like 300 people. You can hear a pin drop.
Oh, more than 300, man. I was in the middle of a casino, buddy, in Philly when that happened. It was, gosh, they shut the slot machines off. They weren't even making noise. It was, oh, it was not my favorite. The Niners. I don't know what's happening there. 2 weeks ago, I thought that they were borderline unbeatable, and then 2 weeks in a row, they get 2 losses in a row. McCaffrey didn't even look good on the ground, but he did get you 2 touchdowns because somehow that dude has got a nose for the end zone like no other. And outside of George Kittle, man, I really thought Brandon Ayuk was going to blow up this week. And with no Debo, it just if you're going to beat the Vikings, you beat them through the air, and it just didn't happen, man. I got nothing for you. I don't know how or why. And then, excuse me, for the Vikings, Kirk Cousins was good, almost 400 yards passing. I don't know how you do that against that defensive front. The
He
Vikings
looked
had a
great.
wonderful,
He looked sharp.
wonderful.
He had a couple
Yes.
throws where the Niners were bearing down like they're going to literally rip his head off. He just chucks the ball up, and I'm thinking like, oh God, he's just trying not to get killed. Nope, he's hitting a dude perfectly in stride, right in his hands, and I'm like, why? Why is this not every week?
And there were guys that were wide open. I mean,
You can
doing
still
these
make
crossing across the
there's
field.
people out there in the world that are still making the argument that as far as a pure passer, that Kirk Cousins is the best pure passer in the NFC. And after watching last night, it's hard. I'm not going to pretend he's Jalen Hurts. I'm not going to pretend he can do some of the things Justin Fields can. He obviously can't. The dude runs probably about a 5'9" 40. But from a pure pocket standpoint and dealing with blitzes and being able to hit guys in the hands, who's better? Matt Stafford 4 years ago, but not now. Brady's not in the conference anymore. I mean, who's better?
A good question.
Danny Dimes?
Tell you what, Jordan Addison, man, he is looking like he might be the real deal. 7 for 123. He was the wide receiver 1 on the week, 2 touchdowns, and then TJ Hawkinson 11 for 86. We're really seeing what they're doing without JJ. It's not Osborne, it's not Brandon Powell, it's Madison and it's Hawkinson. So
it's funny because we both said at the beginning of the year, neither one of us think Addison is going to be this viable guy long term in the NFL. But at the same time, we both said if there's one rookie who's set up for success, it's Addison. And now that JJ's out, sweet Lord, it's even more so. I think if Addison was like 4 inches taller, he could be a top 5 receiver in the league.
Yeah, he's just so tall. Well, he's got to put on some lbs too with those inches because he's only like a $170, I think. $175.
He's 5'11", $175.
Yeah, he's little.
But he's come alive now, dude. And great for them because now when JJ comes back, they know what they have in Addison, and it doesn't have to be JJ getting 17 targets a game.
Right. And well, fantasy owners don't want to hear that, but for real football, that's ideal.
Yeah, and now all of a sudden Minnesota's only 2 games back the line. I know they're only 3-4, but they're only 2 games back of the Lions. And the
I know.
NFC, there's a couple teams that are elite, and then the rest is just this big potluck thing for like the other 4 playoff. They put together a couple wins here in the next 2 weeks. All of a sudden, they're 5-4.
It's there's only a few teams that I don't think have a shot.
I'm
Chicago's out.
making the Super Bowl, but I'm not talking about. I'm just talking about
I'm
making
talking
the
about
playoffs. And they
Panthers.
play Green Bay this week. Why can't Minnesota win that game, right? So
Oh
now all of a sudden, now
my
we're 4-4, and thinking
They
like, oh
should.
well, maybe there's something to this team. And now
A little
Minnesota
frisky.
coming into the trade deadline, all of a sudden it's like, oh, maybe we should bring in a defensive piece and win this division.
Well, they're trying to trade away Daniil Hunter. Trying to lose a defensive piece.
I think if they hadn't won this game, that was a no-brainer. But now I'm thinking like, okay, Detroit lost, we won. Maybe Detroit's not as great as we thought. They
Maybe it'll
got
be this.
crushed, and maybe that's an anomaly. But I'm just saying, all of a sudden, Minnesota doesn't look as bad as we thought they were 2 weeks ago when they were losing to everyone.
You're telling me they look better without Justin Jefferson.
That's not. I never said that.
Well,
I
that's
said what I
it's
did
just
say is
what
that they
happened.
know now that they have a viable number 2 receiver instead of KJ Osborne and his never-ending terrible route running and drops.
Come on, KJ. This is your spot, man. All right. Couple intriguing games for me this week. The highest game point total is the Pats at the Dolphins at 47. The lowest total, 2 games, Jets at Giants and Falcons at Titans. And that totals at 36, one of the lower totals I've seen for a while. And then watch out for this Rams at Cowboys game. The total is 45, but Dallas's defense has given up at least 28 points in 3 of their last 4 games. And the Rams can put up some points if they get that passing game going, buddy. Watch out. Starts of the week for you, sir. Do you want me to go first? I know you're winging it this
I
week.
am winging it because, as I told you, I didn't really have much time today. I was at work all day because it's nice out, blah, blah, blah. And we decided to go ahead and get the show done tonight. So go ahead and go first.
My quarterback, and this one's going to be brave here. Mac Jones versus Miami. I don't feel great about it, but we thought there were poor matchups last week. This week is even worse. Mac Jones, though, he was QB8 last week, and Miami's going to be playing at home. They're going to be coming with a vengeance after getting beaten by the Eagles. Mac Jones is going to have to throw the ball and throw the ball a lot to keep up. So I think he's going to be a top 12 option.
So
You're not going to feel good about it, but I think you can start him.
yeah, I would bet money that he's not in the top 12 quarterbacks. It's one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard you say.
How much money would you bet?
Let's bet at $20 that he's not a top 12 quarterback this week.
Let's think about it. No, I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about it. You put your hand out. The listeners cannot see that you're trying to virtually shake my hand.
Okay.
Who's yours?
Mine, this is somebody, I actually thought about this earlier as we were talking and looking. I'm going with somebody who most people wouldn't agree with, but I'm going with Russ at home against the Chiefs. They're going to have to throw. He's quietly not having a bad year. They keep losing. Their defense is maybe going to be historically bad, but he's not been bad. You know they're going to be behind. You know they're going to be throwing. Of course, he's going to throw 2 picks and probably lose a fumble. But I think he might throw 3 touchdowns, and then throw for 280, maybe rush for 50. I think Russ could have a good. They usually play KC really, really tough in Denver. They get killed in KC. They play them well in Denver.
Do you know how many?
I'm going to start him, but
you know how many points he scored last time they played the Chiefs?
No, I have no idea.
6.9.
Where was it?
It was in Kansas City.
And when was it?
2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
Okay, well let me look. If you're going to look at some numbers here, let me look. Look at though Adam through the year 16, 33, 13, 24, 20, 7, and basically about 14. He's quietly having a. Am I going to pretend that he's a good quarterback? No, but I don't give a crap about that. We're talking about fantasy. He's He's got to be in the top 10 of quarterbacks right now.
I'm not. I'm certainly not playing him against a team that he just got 7 points against.
Maybe that's all the more reason too. They're going to figure some things out. Plus, they're playing in Denver. It's just like I'm not going to play Mac Jones. We could
Sure.
easily just sit here and say, "Oh, you should play Patrick Mahomes this week, or you should play Justin Herbert."
Maybe we'll do the once and then we'll start each other's starter again.
We do it. That's the other thing. We're both concerned. We talked tonight. We're concerned that maybe some of our friends in our league are actually listening to our podcast and in a way to get some points maybe for them or just to counter us are now it's becoming uncanny. I'm looking this
It's a
week.
trend.
I know
It's a
the
trend,
people that
Kevin.
we put in as our plays of the week, and there'll be like 7 other teams that play them as well. There's probably nothing to it, but there could be. So maybe I'm just saying
It's
Russell
fishy,
Wilson's
Kevin.
going to be great, but I think he's actually going to have -2 points.
Fishy. Fishy, Kevin. All right, running back for me. I just wrote Houston running backs. You could take your pick: Damian Pierce, Devin Singletary. I would probably lean Pierce. I'm not leaning very far though. They both, I think, have a chance to be decent fantasy starters. Damian Pierce has been the lead back all season until the week before the bye. Singletary got most of the run then, so we'll see. But Houston likes to run the ball. And that being said, the Panthers have the second worst run defense as far as fantasy goes. And Houston should play with the lead, I think. Have CJ Stroud get them out to a, 10, 14 point lead and then hand that ball off.
Okay. I would love to get on you for that because you used to get on me when I would double dip, but I can't now because the last time I double dipped, you were down with me double dipping. So, but you used to get on me when I picked 2 guys. So what was I just looking at? NFL schedule. I've seen various things today, as I did look at some things. That they're like sneaky picks of the week, Damian Pierce and Singletary. Though Pierce is averaging like 2.8 yards a carry for the season.
It's not, yeah,
And that
it's
is
not.
just it's hard to really trust a guy like that.
Right. And that's why Singletary got so much run the last time they
I
were
don't know.
out.
So somebody I would love to play Monday night. I think Dave Montgomery's still not back. I'd love to play Jahmyr Gibbs. I hate that I already played him. I played him in a week that Montgomery, I think, was either out or something was going on, and I thought he'd blow up. He did nothing. And I would really like to play him against the Raiders, who give up the 5th most points to running backs. And you always love to root for a Monday night guy.
Yes,
It
you
feels so
sure
good.
do.
Like I felt so good going into last night until our guys completely shit the bed. But I felt so good about it. Like, oh man, I'm gonna get at least another 30 points out of this. No,
I'll use
pick.
I'll use that as a tiebreaker. If I got 2 guys and I can't decide, one of them plays Monday night or
Yes,
Sunday,
it feels so
let's
good
do
to
it.
sit down with a
Yeah.
beer and be able to root for these guys, to be able to root for Brock Purdy throwing 2 interceptions in the last 6 minutes, to be able to root for Ayuk only getting 1 target the entire second half on a ball that lands 5 feet in front of him, and he still almost caught it. It's such a good feeling to suck
Uh,
on Monday nights.
it just gives you something to live for. You know
Why
what I
do we
mean?
play this stupid game? Just so we can be
Oh,
angry all the time? It's like you
yes.
said 2 years ago. Neither one of us gets any joy out of this. What is it you say? We're either pissed off or relieved.
Yeah.
Never anything else. No joy.
Yeah.
It's either we're relieved that we didn't completely suck or pissed that we sucked.
I haven't smiled on a Sunday in a decade.
Dude, I've won the once and done the last 3 years in a row, and I still, at the end, I'm pissed off that I didn't win by more points or that I played Jamar Chase the week early. I
I know.
get no satisfaction even out of winning. I still hate it. And continue to do it.
I know.
We sit here and talk for an hour every week about it.
We do it for the people, Kevin. We do it for the people.
Well, I don't really care for people either, so that doesn't make sense for me. Speak for yourself, big boy.
Yeah. Oh, all right. Oh,
What a
man.
mess.
Okay. Wide receivers. Let's go with the Halloween theme here. Give me scary Terry McLaurin. He is currently wide receiver 27, but he plays Philly, and this dude torches Philly. His last 3 games against them, he scored 22.6, 20.8, and 16.2. Philly is less than a touchdown favorite in this game, and the point total is only 43.5, but McLaurin only needs one play to pay off for you. and he's certainly going to get it this week. I know it. If
It's
I
so
had to pick
weird with the
one
Eagles
player,
defense because
no,
I have them and they give me a lot of points most weeks. Yet when you just look at yardage and points given up, they look like they should be giving up 55 points a game.
they bend a lot without breaking.
Yeah, I guess so. So I'm taking Romeo Dobbs simply because Minnesota's fifth most. I know he's a tough one to trust, but if Christian Watson doesn't play, he gets peppered with targets. He's apparently healthy now. He's got to be the go-to guy that whole game. And if Minnesota can play like they did this week, Green Bay's going to have to keep up. And it's at Green Bay, all the more reason.
Tight end for me, Jake Ferguson. I don't know if you know this, but he is number 1 in red zone targets among tight ends, and that is with a bye week mixed in.
Yeah, thanks for rubbing it in because the week I played, we had one catch for 15 yards.
He's only got
2
one
points.
touchdown on the season.
Oh, and 2
touchdown.
points for the evil Decepticons.
Let's try to change sometime soon. He does have 3 tight end 1 finishes on the season, and the Rams with their 9th worst defense against a tight end, I think they're going to give him another one.
I'm taking Waller. Tyrod Taylor will be starting again. He loves to throw to him, and the Jets give up the most points to tight ends. But if Danny Dimes play, I've got to go to your boy Mayer, who's playing Detroit, who gives up the second most points to tight ends.
Yeah, I typed him in to the show doc first, but I called him out last week and he screwed me. So
but I don't think it's he that
2 weeks
screwed
in a
you.
row.
Let me say this, okay? That's another question mark. If Jimmy G plays, I'd put him in my top 2. If those other jokers are playing, guys that shouldn't be starting for Leitersburg Tech, then I would rescind.
In the show doc, I wrote, Michael Mayer, I know he screwed us last week, but if this also comes with a caveat that Jimmy G has to be the quarterback.
Did you write that Brian Hoyer shouldn't start for Leitersburg Tech?
Yeah.
Ringgold A&M, Morgansville State.
We got to hurry up and get through this before we go off the rails again. Defense, give me Seattle versus Cleveland. I don't know if you know this, but Seattle has the 6th highest scoring fantasy defense. That doesn't make any sense to me because their defense has been terrible since the Legion of the Boom. But I'll tell you what, it's even better that the Browns give up the 4th most points to fantasy defenses. This game has the 3rd lowest total. It's only at 40. I might take the under in this one. With these two defenses playing pretty well, I might take the under on the 40. And that's a low total.
I'm going to take the Lions at home against the Raiders. I think the Lions were embarrassed. I think Campbell is going to have them freaking fired up this week.
Yes.
They're at home. Jimmy G, I think, is it about 50-50 now whether he's going to play this week?
Who knows? I thought it was 50-50 last week, so maybe we're 75-25.
If Jimmy G doesn't play, this could get ugly because I think the Lions were pissed. They were straight up embarrassed. 38-6 is not pretty, and that's what like I said, that was the Ravens backing off. So I'm going to take the Lions this week, and I'm very seriously considering playing them in the once and done.
Don't worry, Kevin. I won't tell anyone you were winking. All right.
You'll probably tell me you're playing the Lions, and at 12:58-43, you'll put in the Bills, and then play the Lions next week when they get 48 points.
I hope so. All right, buddy. You got anything else?
There was something or other I was thinking of, but it must not be important because I can't remember what the hell it was. Oh, no teams won't buy this week. Everybody can play everybody safely. Do your thing. Get after it, people.
There we go. Hey, thanks for listening. Be sure to check us out. Spotify, YouTube, Facebook. Get Your Bell Rung Football Podcast. See you in a week.
Later.